Okay, so this week, this Friday reads when I say to you that I'm coming to you at the dusty bookshelf. You are quite literally on my dusty bookshelf. I have my phone propped up on the bookshelf and I'm looking towards the bookshelf. You're propped up right against Alexander Dumas and Will Durant. I broke my tripod. You can see it in the background there. What I did was I knocked it over and it fell on the floor, and the little bit that holds my phone snapped right off. The plastic just snapped. So I've ordered a new attachment for that tripod, but until then I can't attach my phone to the top. So this Friday, you're on the dusty shelf. And I don't really have a whole lot to talk about this Friday. I'm sort of in the same place where I was last Friday. I had a long weekend and I went to the theater. I saw 3 movies on Sunday, back to back. I spent Monday hanging out with a friend, and Saturday I didn't do much reading either because it was one of my friend's graduations, and so I went to her ceremony and then out for dinner, and I hardly picked up a book all weekend with the exception of Monday morning when I read that book, The Library, which is sitting right here. The Library by Stuart Kells. And I did film a short impromptu video after I finished reading this that you can check out if you like. As I said in that video, it wasn't really what I expected. There were definitely some good nuggets in here, some interesting things to read about, but it wasn't the complete history of the library that I was hoping for and that I expected based on how it's marketed. On the front here we have excellent tracks the history of that greatest of all cultural institutions from the Washington Post. And I don't know who reviewed this at the Washington Post, but I don't think they gave it a thorough reading. Yes, we have some elements of the history of the library, but it's not a complete history. It does not track the history. We have some early history and then we have fragments. But setting that aside, I've been continuing on with my Louisa May Alcott biography by John Madison, and I'm more than halfway through. I'm just at the point where Louisa is gravely ill. She has caught typhus pneumonia, I think they called it, while serving as a nurse during the Civil War. She only lasted about 4 weeks before she got ill, and then 6 weeks later her father made the journey out to pick her up, and they have gotten her home, but at this point she's delirious. Now, of course, I know she pulls through because I've obviously read about her life before, and at the point in this biography, she hasn't written any of her most famous novels yet. She hasn't even picked up the pen on Little Women. So, more interesting things to come here. I just read about the death of her friend Thoreau, about a poem that she wrote for him. I've read about the death of her younger sister and about the marriage of her older sister. But yeah, we haven't really gotten much into the writing of her famous works yet. So I'm looking forward to that, and I do intend to finish this weekend. I put raspberries in my bag. I bought some raspberries and just put them right in my cloth bag, and so now I just have this pink splatter on the front that's stained right in there. And I'm also continuing on with Virginia Woolf's A Writer's Diary. And I haven't picked this up in almost a week because I have been focusing my energies on the Eden's Outcasts and on reading that book, The Library, on Sunday. But when I do finish all those, I'm going to continue on reading about Louisa May Alcott with this one that I borrowed from the Ottawa Public Library. Louisa May Alcott, The Woman Behind Little Women by Harriet Risen. I'm assuming it's Risen. Reisen. So this is one that I've seen in the bookstores, and I saw it at the library and thought it would fit with my interest in Louisa May Alcott at the moment. So it says, Louisa May Alcott portrays a writer as worthy of interest in her own right as her legendary character Jo March, and addresses all aspects of Alcott's life. The effect of her father's self-indulgent utopian schemes, her family's chronic economic difficulties, the frequent uprootings, her experience as a nurse in the Civil War, the loss of her health, and sadly her reliance on opiates in middle age. Stories and details culled from Alcott's journals, together with revealing letters to family, friends, publishers, and admiring readers, plus recollections of her family, friends, and famous contemporaries, provide the basis for this lively account of the author's classic rags to riches tale. The astounding sales of her books eclipsed those such luminaries as Nathaniel Hawthorne, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Herman Melville. In my reading, I find out that Emerson was a good friend of her father's and a good friend of hers, and that she also knew Hawthorne. So she and her father were very much in a literary circle. Harriet Risen's in-depth portrait explores Alcott's life in the context of her works. All of which are to some extent autobiographical, while also revealing a feminist who secretly wrote Pulp Fiction, harbored radical abolitionist views, and completed heroic service as a Civil War nurse. See, I don't quite agree with that sentence and the tone it's setting, just from what I've read of her elsewhere. But that aside, the full force of the extraordinary woman behind the beloved American classic Little Women is revealed as never before. So yes, I'll dig into this one as well, finish up those books. Hopefully I'll get some serious reading done this weekend. Let me know what you're reading in the comments below, and I hope you have a great weekend.